Namaste everyone. We will begin with our peace invocation, Shanti Mantra and Guru Vandanam. Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Vedyamkaravavahai Tejasvinavadhetamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. We are having our discussions based on the structure of progress towards liberation, the progress in liberating spirituality as given to us by Sadhana Panchakam, the text composed by Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya. So it has, Panchakam means 5 verses, 5 shlokas. We saw the first shloka and then we have moved on to the second shloka. Second shloka starts with Sangaha Satsu Vidhiyatam. Right? So the first shloka ends with Nijagrihat Turunam Vinirgamyatam. And the second shloka begins with Sangaha Satsu Vidhiyatam Bhagavato Bhaktir Dridhadhiyatam Shantyadihi Parichiyatam Dridhataram Karmashu Santyajyatam Sadvidwan Upasrupyatam Pratidinam Tatpaduka Sevyatam Brahmaikaksharam Shrutishiro Vakyam Samakarnyatam. This is the second shloka. The first shloka is about cultivating the one-pointed clarity, unambiguous clarity that shows us very clearly that self-knowledge is the only pursuit I am interested in. Atmecha Vyavasiyatam talks about it. It is also mentioned in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Vyavasayatmika buddhihi ekeha kurunandana. So that is what is being talked about. Arriving at that point of one-pointed clarity, goal clarity, is what the shloka 1 was about. We discussed. And then in the shloka 2, having arrived at the goal, what we need to do. The whole shloka 2 is about arranging the external and internal environment in a way that is conducive for the pursuit of self-knowledge. So what are all the conditions required to pursue self-knowledge? The initial set of conditions, essential conditions, is being talked about here. What we need is God's grace, satsanga, God's grace, the readiness of the mind, the readiness of the individual, readiness of the lifestyle and the way of life with regard to the way of life, and making oneself in this way completely available to the teaching which one seeks in the presence of the master, who is well read in the scriptures and also is completely committed in his personal life to the self-knowledge, to the perfection of self-knowledge, and being ready. And what kind of attitude, ready to learn, what kind of attitude we must have towards that master, and what one must request that master, all that is being talked about in shloka 2. So the first instruction is Sangaha Satsu Vidhiyatam. We saw that. Bhagavato Bhaktir Dridhadhiyatam. We saw that in the last class. One, the steadiness and reinforcing of the devotion to Ishvara, to Bhagavan, to God, to the Lord, to the Supreme Being, the Supreme Universal Cosmic Intelligence that takes care of this, which is the underlying force behind all that lives and moves and all that is. That from which everything came and that in which everything is sustained, that into which everything goes back, that is Bhagavan. Okay? That is related to as Bhagavan through the form represented by one's Ishtadevata and gradually evolving into a finer and a subtler understanding of what is God from the form to the concept of the formless and to the abstract and an all encompassing spontaneous relationship with Ishvara. There are different stages we discussed about that. So, and what is relevant for us about japa and all those things, how to reinforce and make the bhakti towards God, how to make it steady and strong, and what is the importance of Ishvara's grace. We discussed it in detail in the last class. This helps us to develop the sixfold inner wealth. I talked about, raising the capital. Ishvara's grace is the necessary capital for progress in our spiritual life and also to develop the six inner qualities called as the inner wealth, Shantyadi Parichiyatam. That is what we are going to see today. And probably, if we have time, we will look at Dridataram Karmashu Santyajyatam, the concept of sannyasa, proper ritualistic official renunciation. Right? Renounce the world officially, renounce your active religious commitments also. That's what it means. Dridataram, firmly liberate yourself from your religious commitments. So Shantyadif Parichiyatam completely in a good manner, in a detailed manner, at a deep level, at a very integrated level, develop the sixfold qualities. The sixfold qualities are Shama, mind control. Mind control is not just constantly biting our teeth and fighting with our mind. What is Shama? We will discuss today. And in order to develop Shama or Shanti, which is referred by the word Shanti here, is Shama, Shanti, I need to develop sensory discipline, which is called Dhamma. If I want to develop sensory discipline, I need to focus on my duties and learn to stay away from doing things simply because they stimulate me or excite me, or I feel impulsive, things that trigger my impulsive reactions. I don't get into things based on my impulsive reactions, based on my likes and dislikes. I don't get involved in things. I get rid of all those things and keep myself occupied only with things that are absolutely essential and related to what I understand as my duty to myself, my family, and the society, and to God, to Ishvara. Right. So they say that Devarunam, Pitrurunam, Manushya There are three kinds of debt we have. So the duty is usually connected to that. My duty to the ancestors, to my family, and my fellow human beings, to the environment, etc. My duties to the ancestors, my duties to the departed ancestors through the Pitru Karma and all that. And my duty to the gods means the divine forces that are responsible for regulating the various natural rhythms in this world. So, this is how we understood in the Vedic culture. It's an all encompassing thing. But if we don't, it may not, this concept may not be relevant now for many people. But in short, it means how we can understand in our context is, see, based on our common sense and understanding, plus whatever spiritual inputs we have from our teachers, we understand certain things as to be done. What I must do, what I should do, based on my commitments and my sense of duty, what I must do, what I should do, then what I must not do, injunction, prohibition. What I must do, what I must not do, what I'm not supposed to do. I should not do what I am not supposed to do. I must not shy away from doing what I must do. These two are there. And when these two are taken care, I may do what I like to do. So that comes under pleasure, that comes under kamya karma. But we already in the previous shloka we say kamye matistyajatam. But kamya matistyajatam is I interpreted it as do not do spiritual manipulation for getting things done. Yes, kamya karma, getting away from kamya karma. Here, what I would like to do, I am talking about simple everyday pleasures. I would like to have some mild entertainment or go on a walk. Now is Margadi month in Chennai. A lot of music concerts are going on. I would like to go and listen to some nice concert. But I cannot go to the concert if I have some other things to finish which come under the duty. Having performed my duties in my free time without, I mean, without bringing a negative effect on my spirituality, if a certain entertainment is okay, there are entertainments that are okay, which does not come, and there are things that I would like to do which does not come under the list of I must not do. If it comes under I must not, I like to do, but it comes under the list of I must not do, then I can't do that. So, having taken care of what I must do and what I must not do, I may do what I would like to do and keep it to the minimum. This is what is Uparama. Uparama means Swadharma Anushtanam. You can take it like this. Doesn't mean you cannot do anything that you like to do. Then it will be a problem. Life will be boring and you might get frustrated and depressed and all that. It might get stressed out. So some light moments of life are required. So we have to regulate our indulgences, the actions that are enjoyable for us, and we are doing them only because it's enjoyable. If we don't do, we are not avoiding any duty, and by doing it, we are not doing any action that is prohibited. So I may do. So those kind of things are definitely because they bring some emotional lightness and they contribute to mental health. These things are important to have in life. So some time for that is all right. But we have to take care like this and not poke my nose in things that are not my responsibility. You know, getting worked up by all the social issues, political issues, getting worked up by the things around me that are not the way they are supposed to be. Now I take responsibility for everything that goes on. Now there are people who cannot relax because they start regulating. They're telling everybody, micromanaging and telling everybody what they must do. What the neighbor must do, what the cleaning person in the apartment must. If you live in an apartment, you have this or two or three people who are going around and making sure everything is okay. This is very nice, but this kind of people cannot become available for self knowledge. If you are somebody like that, it's wonderful if you are a very social extroverted person for a normal social life. It comes under dharma. Okay, but when I am getting ready for self knowledge, I have to cut off all these things. Even if there are virtuous actions where I am involved in, like social work and all that, I have to bring it down to a certain point where it does not take away all my time and energy. And when I am not doing that, when I am not doing all those things I am used to be involved with, generally we are involved with a lot of things and we are constantly being bombarded by so much of information. We never have time to just stay and be quiet and examine our thoughts and all that. So this shama, shantyadi parichiyatam, this shanti or shama is possible only when I develop a contemplative nature and I am available to analyze and examine my thoughts, the cause of various mental issues that I have, and I have some time to think about myself and practice certain pratipaksha bhavana and all that. Cultivate certain healthy mental habits that will allow me to develop a certain level of mastery over my ways of thinking, that will allow me to develop a certain internal awareness about my thoughts, a kind of ability to look at my thoughts more objectively, my emotions more objectively, not allow myself to keep my center and not be pulled and carried away by my emotions and thoughts. This ability of being able to, this ability of keeping the mind together, me being able to keep my mind and emotions together and maintaining a good level of mental health, that is what this shanti is about. And that is not possible without sensory discipline. Highly indulgent, sensory indulgence will not allow me to be more restful in my mind. I have to learn to control, or I have to learn to discipline and regulate my sexuality, my taste buds, my need for pleasant sensations, and my restlessness towards pampering myself too much, towards maintaining certain looks. All these things come under dhamma. You know, I'm overreactive and sensitive to certain things, so I have to regulate all those things, and only then I am available to even look at my inner space and my mind and emotions and the ways of thinking, my attitudes, how these things are triggered, how they operate, how they demand for attention. So to develop some mastery over that, I need a lot of time. I need a lot of time with myself. So dhamma is required, and in order to practice dhamma, damyata, I have to create a context, a lifestyle context, where I am not involved in too many things. I am involved only in absolutely essential things. So I have a chance to look at my compulsions. I have a chance to look at my various kinds of compulsions, emotional compulsions, egoistic compulsions, sensory compulsions, you know, how I am, what are my triggers, how things demand my engagement. Dhamma, if I want to talk about in a neurological, neurobiological language, Dhamma is to have mastery over the limbic engagement. Dhamma and Shama is about the mastery over limbic engagement, and Shama is about processing the inner compulsion and resolving the inner conflict that results from control. Uparama is about not poking my nose in what is not my business. Then I have a chance to look at what are the various things that are triggering me, how I am tending myself to get involved in things, so I am able to be aware of that, stop myself from doing that, and then I process the inner urges and compulsions and thoughts and emotions through various methods that are given in yoga, in tantra and all that, and psychology. I can use all the tools. It doesn't mean that I have to practice only yogic techniques. I can use yogic techniques, I can use psychoanalytical techniques, I can use this cognitive behavioral therapy, neuro linguistic programming, pranic healing, reiki, whatever tool I want, tantra, mantra japa, visualizations, positive affirmations, anything can be used if the result is going to be mental peace and inner tranquility. But I stop myself from doing what I am not supposed to do, then whatever tools I can are accessible to me, available to me, I am able to be skillful in using them. Whatever resources are available, I use them to resolve the inner conflict. Okay. Samadama Uparama. Now, this Uparama is possible only if I am able to maintain my center when provoked. What are the things that provoke me, provoke a reaction from me? There are things that provoke physical reaction. That is the most fundamental. Cold, heat. I must develop through practice of tapasya in terms of hatha yoga, diet, pranayama, etc., and certain disciplinary practices. I have to develop a kind of a psychosomatic resilience. It is called tiksha. Sitoshna sukha dukkha sahishnutvam. Ability to withstand extremities like heat and cold, pairs of opposites like heat and cold. One of the best tools for developing this ability is practice of hatha yoga asanas. Atha dvandvan anabhigataha. It's very clearly mentioned in Yoga Sutra. So titiksha comes from hatha yoga, and practice of asana, sitting in a meditation asana for a prolonged period of time, these things help you in developing titiksha. And tapasya. Tapasya means challenging your comfort zone. Each one can design a tapasya. How to design a tapasya? You see which is your comfort zone that you are not ready to compromise, and that wanting to ensure that comfort zone keeps you over busy and over engaged with the world in areas that are not absolutely essential, that that eats up too much of your resources, and or that eats up your resources and your attention and your energy in maintaining that comfort zone, and it influences your decision making when you want to do something that is more important. I want to do something that is more important and meaningful, but I am not able to do that because that situation where I must put myself in order to achieve that meaningful goal, in that situation, my pet comfort zone is getting challenged. For example, I have to go and stay in an ashram to listen to Vedanta for a retreat, yoga retreat, Vedanta retreat. In the ashram, I don't have a room all for myself. I remember one yoga camp got cancelled because the students could not get each one a separate room for themselves. So when I am going for spiritual learning, I cannot be a consumerist. I am not going into a hotel. To a certain extent, some comforts are required, yes. But that camp could not happen in an ashram simply because people wanted individual rooms. So I want individual room. I'm not able to share a room with somebody else. I have too much comfort zone for my own space. So I am not going to go there and learn that. I will not be able to learn simply because I don't get a room for myself. Then I cannot sleep on a mat on the floor. The floor is not excessively cold. It is not going to affect my health. But I need a certain kind of a bed. The bed is not okay. And then I need hot water. The hot water is not okay. I mean, I don't get hot water in the ashram, so I cannot go there. Or uh, there are nothing very highly allergic food or something that is bad for health, but there is some decent food. It's okay, but it may not be the perfect food. But the taste is not good, so I cannot go and do there. I cannot stay there. So unless I ensure all my little comforts, I will not be. Every evening We have another thing in South India, uh, um, especially in the South Indians, when we go for they go for pilgrimage. Amazing, they go to such great lengths to ensure that they will get that rice with sambar, rasam, curry, paisam, or whatever. I once interacted with a person who was telling to me about how they arrange for a pilgrimage. He said, we take a van with us with gas cylinders and all the provisions, and a cook comes with us. A cook, okay, for pilgrimage. There is a van, like a catering van, like you have a pantry car in the train, like that, you have a catering van. And then in another bus or van, the other people are going. So every day, they will have to buy vegetables and everything, and then cook a proper full 3 course meal, like how they will have in home. They will ensure that when coffee at the right time, 2 times coffee, all that. With all that, they go for pilgrimage. Then they are, they have all these paraphernalia. This is called grihastha buddhi. So when in the first shloka, the last advice was nijagrihat turunam vinirgamyatam. Run away from your home and from your immediate commitments and all your social life and everything. In the sense, make yourself free from all your encumbrance, social, family and social encumbrances. It also means make yourself free from this householder buddhi. This householder buddhi and Vedanta, this striving for self-knowledge, perfection in self-knowledge, and householder buddhi, they don't go together. This householder attitude is there. It's a certain thing. They want to ensure comfort zone in some things. They want certain things at certain time of the day. And I really don't know much about that, but I have seen that it's a certain attitude where you are not willing to, where you are, I would put it like this, where you are willing to go to great lengths to ensure your creature comforts. So this titiksha is ability to have some kind of a resilience when your creature comforts and your comfort zone is challenged, where you don't lose your peace of mind. You are able to hold your center. You are able to hold your health also. You will not fall sick. So you have to work with your allergies. People from America, whoever comes from America, many of them, they have these allergies. Probably because their food is poisoned for many decades. I read about that. Maybe because of that, the Westerners have all these allergies and preferences, and too many preferences. So you cannot have too many preferences and all kinds of reactions and issues. Then it becomes very difficult. Then it becomes very difficult to have a renunciant lifestyle. So this shloka 2, having renounced, it talks about preparing for the renunciant lifestyle. Of course, certain things cannot be overcome, but please overcome what you can overcome. That's what it means. Do certain things necessary and make sure that you are responsible for your health and well-being, physical well-being and mental well-being, and your discipline. I am responsible for my discipline, physical well-being and mental well-being, and I have some decent level of resilience when my comfort zone is challenged, when my physical comfort zone is challenged, and my mental comfort zone is challenged, and my emotional comfort zone is challenged, my cultural comfort zone is challenged, I have a certain level of resilience. For example, I come from India. When somebody sits, putting one leg over the other, especially, wearing the slippers, it is considered as rude and very aggressive and kind of intruding into the space in over self assertion. But I heard that in the West, women are supposed to put one, first time when I encountered it, women are supposed to sit with one leg on the other. That is considered as polite. If you don't do that, you are considered as rude. So these are called, cultural differences. So when I go from one culture to another culture, when you come from a very urban culture or a universalized Western culture to ashrams and other places of learning, you might have a reverse effect. You might have some kind of a culture shock with certain things. You will have somebody drinking a tea with with a slurp sound. So I remember one of my friends used to get very worked up because a brahmachari in that ashram, he will come and sit for the satsang. They will serve some tea and he will be drinking. The whole hall will hear his slurping the tea. And there are some people who will burp. These are certain things. For example, if you go to an Arab country, after eating the meal, you are supposed to burp. If you don't burp, your host will consider it as an offense. I heard about that. It seems a friend went to one of my friends. He went to Tunisia for something, and he said, he was completely put off because everybody was burping, and he was asked to burp. He said, "If you don't burp," he did not burp. He was trying to be polite because of being a Westerner, and they asked him what the food is not good. They were very worried, and then his local friend told him that you have to burp. If you don't burp, we think that you have not eaten properly. So, in the Eastern countries, burping is very normal. It is accepted. It's not a big deal. If somebody farts, it's not a big deal. And you can see some people spitting. It happens. You cannot control it. It's not. I'm not telling all these things are healthy. What I'm telling is all these things you can encounter. It will challenge your comfort. It can challenge your comfort zone. When I go from one place to another place, especially as a person who is completely committed for self knowledge, I have to tune myself in such a way that my one pointed commitment to self knowledge for my spiritual development is not excessively disturbed by all the environmental conditions that are around me which are not under my control. And even with regard to things that are under my control, I shouldn't have to go out of my way to ensure that those things are taken care of. So that's what is required in order for me to develop shanti or shama, right? Sama, dapa, uparama, and titiksha. How will I get that? If my mind is committed and generally tranquil, and when I am relaxed, in the sense, for example, samadhanam is something, when you feel I am at the right place with the right person for the right purpose. Sometimes when you feel at a very organic level, I am at the right place with the right people for the right purpose. When you feel that, you have certain background tranquility. No? Your background is not volatile. Your background is not stressed. You are more relaxed. Having the relaxed background is called samadhanam. Samadhanam, in the sense, a kind of a tranquility and settled down kind of a background attitude, which comes from goal clarity, which comes from acceptance, and which comes from uh, the right conditions, which inspire your trust and confidence. You are able to trust where you are. These kind of things. This is called samadhanam. That is possible if I have shraddha. If I have shraddha in the system, in the method, in the tradition, and in the teacher, or in the community, and in the way, in the culture around it, it is easier to have samadhanam. I cannot have samadhanam without shraddha. Shraddha, these things plus surrender. Surrender to Ishvara. Whatever is there, I have completely surrendered. Bhagavan will take care. God will take care. How I am able to have the shraddha? Only if all this is there, how I am able to have the shraddha because of the previous step. Bhagavatah bhaktir dridhadiyatam, what we discussed. When my bhakti towards the Lord is steady, it is easy for me to have shraddha. Because I will see I will feel, I will intuitively feel the unseen hand taking care of me. I have felt that in so many situations. When I went away from home, I was thirsty. I went into a home for asking. I just knocked on a door asking for water. I asked for water. They gave me a glass of milk. I was super hungry, but I had just asked for water. They gave me a glass of milk. And then somebody in the hill, some two bachelors, They gave me food for 1 week until I was able to get my diksha. Then after that, somebody gave me money for the bus. I was completely under the sky. I was completely taken care. I went and met that guru, my first guru. He doesn't know me at all. He accepted me. I stayed with him for a month and served him and all that. So I have seen it, and in many occasions, I have seen in others' lives also, not only just my life. I have seen in so many other people's life. I know of a person who did not know where she will go. She come from some other country to this country, Rishikesh. You know, she did not know where she will go. They asked her to vacate her room in the ashram one, just there having tea. Just a Swami from another ashram bumped into her. She said, I have seen you in the class. What are you doing? And then took her there, gave a room and everything. And after that, she could study and continue. When God's grace is there, in the middle of a forest, you will get food when you're hungry. And this is not a joke. It happens. And it happens to a lot of people who come to India with Shraddha. It has happened to them. We listen to them. We listen about it. We hear so many stories. So, Ishvara Bhakti will give you Shraddha and it will help you to not be at the wrong place at the wrong time or with the wrong people. And it will somehow take you to the right place at the right time to the right person. It will be taken care. Basically, I use my basic knowledge and find the satsanga, and then I stabilize in Ishvara Bhakti. I will have Shraddha. Once I have Shraddha, I will have Samadhanam. Once I have Samadhanam, I will have it is easier to develop Titiksha. I'll be more willing to challenge my comfort zone. When I am in a comfortable place, you have seen, there are these unruly kids. There are kids which are having very strong preferences. Uh, you want to give them some medicine, they will say no and make a huge tantrum and everything. Then one person in the family, they're very close with, they will say, they will bring the same medicine and then they will go sit with the child, talk to him, and and all that. And see, I'm telling, can you have it? Let us try a little bit and all that. Because this child is very comfortable with that person, there is that background relaxation. So he is ready to challenge his comfort zone and try that medicine. They may make some faces and jokes and all that about it, but the child will have the medicine when given by the right person. Because there is this background trust that allows the child to relax, which allows the child to challenge his comfort zone. The same concept here. When I have samadhana, I will be able to do what is necessary, go through the tapasya that is required to develop titiksha. If I have titiksha, it is easier to practice uparama. When I have titiksha and uparama, it is very easy. And also when the shraddha and samadhanam is there, when all these are there, it is easier to practice sensory regulation, dhamma. And when I take care of all these things, all the variables will cooperate for me to sit and work with my inner restlessness and inner conflicts and all my mental issues, psychological issues. I will be able to sit and resolve them peacefully with the right methods and tools and with the right help. Right? So that is Shantyadif Parichiyatam. Once I have arrived at this, once I have developed the devotion to God and I have cultivated that inner well, I am not only willing to, but I am also empowered to ensure my inner tranquility. Ensure, and I'm able to be responsible for and capable of ensuring my inner peace, my basic well being, and my basic stability and focus. I am able to ensure this when faced with inescapable and inevitable challenges that life situations might throw at me. And with this, I am ready to commit fully, completely for the pursuit of self knowledge alone to the exclusion of every other commitment, including religious commitment, which is mentioned by the instruction or the advice. Dridataram karmasu santyajyatam. Immediately, with a firm resolve, give up all your religious duties. including nitya karma, naimittika karma. Here it talks about proper ritualistic official assumption of sannyasa ashrama. Okay, taking sannyasa, becoming a monk. Now, I wanted to say monk or a nun, but it does not apply to. We have to understand the traditional concept of sannyasa. The Vaidika sannyasa is only for males, not for females. So nowadays, because of all this, Kali Yuga, Dharma confusion, everything is a joke. Every institution is a joke. So sannyasa institution is also has become a joke. There are compromise everywhere. There is compromise in sannyasa institution also. So technically speaking, what is this sannyasa? What Acharya is Shankaracharya? What is he telling us here? Dridataram karmasu santyajyata. We talked about Vedo nityam adiyatam taduditam karmasvanushthiyatam. What about that? Tenesha shivadi kamye matityajatam. In the first shloka we discussed, study the Veda and practice the rituals prescribed in the Veda daily, and don't do the rituals that are meant for satisfying your personal desires. All that we saw. Now, this is talking about a Dvija or a twice born who has undergone that ceremony and who is initiated into the Vedic religious life, where one is having that sacred thread, that tuft of hair, that hair in the tuft, that long hair in the back of the head, and who is having this everyday ritualistic commitments, and who has studied the Veda and the Vedic rituals like three times Sandhya Vandanam with Gayatri. It is talking about such a person. Now, this kind of religious life is very good up to a point. It's like a ladder that takes you to a terrace. Once I am in the terrace, I don't need the ladder anymore. So, similarly, the ritualistically disciplined life that is committed to the rules and the way of life that is prescribed by the Veda is very useful up to a point of preparing us to creating the chitta shuddhi or the purity of mind and the inner preparation and the physical, psychosomatic, and the psychological, and the emotional, and the ego level, and the level of understanding, and the mental level preparation necessary for letting go of every other commitment and be exclusively committed to this pursuit of self knowledge, to bringing me to the door of the Vedanta. Until bringing me to Vedanta, it has done its job. That is the whole purpose. That is why when you say the Shruti Shiro, the head of the Shruti Shiro Vakyam Samakarnitam comes later. Uh, listen to the great utterances teaching from the head portion of the Veda, means the most important portion of the Veda. The entire Veda is geared, the purpose and the point of the entire Veda is Vedanta. Okay, the essential significance and the meaning of the Veda is Vedanta. So all that is in the Veda is supposed to lead us. So lead us to Vedanta. Having brought us to the door of Vedanta, the Veda has done its purpose, has achieved its purpose. It has done its job. Okay. So Traigunya Vishaya Veda, all the Vedic religious life is connected with the three gunas. Nishtraigunya Bhavarjuna, it comes in Bhagavad Gita. Right? So now we are going into the domain. We are taking a quantum leap into Gunatita, or to discovering the eternal that is above the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. So all these ritualistic encumbrances are not required anymore, because it has prepared me and given me the right conditions, internal conditions, and the growth and the maturity. The Vedic life has given me the maturity necessary for pursuit of self-knowledge. So I don't need that anymore. So I give it up. I renounce formally, ritualistically. See, there is a formally, ritualistically, one is initiated into the Vedic way of life. And the same Veda gives an exit route. Formally, ritualistically, it allows you to renounce that ritualistic life, the religious life, and allows you to be free and completely available for the pursuit of a contemplative life through the discipline of sannyasa, through the lifestyle of sannyasa, renunciation. So you renounce and take a life of sannyasa. Traditionally, Vedanta is studied only after complete renunciation. Sannyasya savanam kuryat. Listen to Vedanta after renouncing. That is the traditional instruction. Even Yajnavalkya, when you want to be completely committed, even a great rishi like Yajnavalkya, he says, I am renouncing everything and goes to the forest. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, it comes. So, this concept has always been there. It is not just Shankaracharya. Bhagavan Shankaracharya just, regulated that institution of renunciation for the sake of protection of the entire knowledge system and so that it will be useful for the coming generations in order to be able to preserve this way of life and the knowledge against all the onslaughts of the various evil forces of Kali Yuga. For that, Sri Adi Shankaracharya had created that sannyasa, regulated sannyasa institution. And there are also various other institutions of sannyasa there. So, this instruction, Tridataram Karmasu Santyajyatam, actually means ritualistic renunciation of ritualistic religious life. Now, we have to derive from that. This instruction, as it is not relevant for most of the population. It is not relevant for most of us. If you are not a Brahmana, Kshatriya, or a Vaishya who has been initiated, gone through the Upanayana, and who is living a ritualistic Vedic life, this whole point, and being a male, because that whole process of Gayatri Sandhya does not apply to women. So, if you are not in this category, the whole sannyasa ritual, the ritualistic renunciation and assumption of formal monkhood is not relevant for you. It is not necessary, and it is only a drama. If you are not under, only for this person who has gone through this lifestyle, there is a point of renouncing. You don't even have Yajnopavita. There is no thread. There is no ritualistic life. There is no Gayatri or Sandhya going on. All your life you did nothing. And you are not into that Vedic culture. You are, let us say you are a foreigner coming from another culture. And then you come to Rishikesh and become a Swami. It is a complete joke. You know what they do? They put they do Upanayana. They give that person a sacred thread and Gayatri mantra and everything. Some 2-3 days before sannyasa, before becoming a monk, they do all that, and then the next day they do a ritual to remove all that. This is called making sannyasa into a joke. It's completely unnecessary and it is ridiculous. So if one is not in this official lifestyle, one need not go through official renunciation. At least one is graceful enough not to insult the Vedic tradition. If I am somebody, if let us say if I am not into a Vedic family and I have not been initiated in all these things, I will not insult the Veda by taking an official sannyasa and doing all this. It is an insult to the Veda. So it is not relevant for all. And women do not have the Yajnopavita, women do not have the Gayatri mantra and other things. So they have nothing to renounce. The woman's ritualistic life is connected with her husband. Suppose if a woman loses her husband, she becomes a widow, she has an opportunity to live like a renunciant. They wear only one special kind of sari, they tonsure their head, and they live like a nun. Okay, so that they assume that it is not forced upon them. They assume that eventually, in cultural degradation, some societies and social groups force that widowhood on their women. It is that is also unnecessary, but it is recommended. It is recommended for a woman. Yeah, now you have an opportunity. You don't have any more family commitments. You don't have any husband to serve and all that. So now you can take to a complete renunciant lifestyle. Take up this opportunity. So it's a recommendation. So even that is not relevant in most cases nowadays. So how we have to interpret this Dridataram Karmasu Santyajyatam? We have to take it as make arrangements. I will translate it sannyasa like this. Make arrangements to be completely free from your personal duties. Do not have any personal duty. not towards anyone, towards three things. And do not actively pursue three things: lokeshana, vitteshana, putreshana. Eshana traya tyaga, they say. What is sannyasa in spirit? So, sannyasa as a ritual, I may not be eligible, but sannyasa or renunciation in spirit, everybody is eligible. That is what is being talked about as the required inner condition, the inner renunciation that is essential for listening, understanding, and assimilating the teaching of Vedanta. What the inner renunciation that is an essential condition is defined as Eshana Traya Tyaga. Eshana means desire, hankering after. Three. What are the three classes of hankering after? I am behind people recognizing me, appreciating me, lokeshana, which manifests as desire for name and fame. If you are a celebrity, not all of us want to become celebrity. There are some people who may not want to become celebrity, but there is a need to be recognized by the people around you. No, when you walk into a party, you don't want to be invisible. The desire to be visible and recognized and appreciated by others, that is lokeshana. Also, the desire to get involved in everything, that is also lokeshana. There are people who are constantly worried about things. You are constantly want to be involved in something, that is also lokeshana. I want to be involved in that. Oh, I have nothing to be involved with, I have nothing to be committed to, I have nothing to keep myself busy with. This is all lokeshana. There are people who get retired, they go crazy because they have nothing to be busy with, they have nothing to be involved in. So you are a very important person, and after retiring you are nobody. So you become a trustee of some place, and then you want to be important, you walk around, go around, you're trying to enjoy some little bit of authority here and there, and to have some importance. All this comes under lokeshana, hankering after personal importance in the world in various forms, lokeshana, to renounce that, being happy to be invisible, right? Putreshana, not desiring for kids or not being involved in the life of kids. Once you have kids, they are grown up, they are gone. You don't bother about them. It's their life. They are going to live. Whatever you can contribute to them, you contribute and get out. If you don't have kids, you are not desiring to have kids. Oh, I have nothing to commit myself to, so I am going to adopt a child from an orphanage. There are people who do that. They don't have child, they want, or they become 40, they get midlife crisis, they go and adopt a child. If not a child, they go get a dog. You want something to belong to in life, all that they say. All this is wonderful for a normal person, but if you are somebody who is an aspirant of liberation, no kid, no dog. We have no, the Shastra is talking about putreshana. Now, with the current level of emotional degradation, we have to also include peteshana. No, putreshana means not hankering after children and pets, because now the pets are no more pets and owners, it is pets and pet parents. So no, putreshana equal to kids plus pets. Lokeshana, getting rid of lokeshana, getting rid of putreshana and peteshana. Vitteshana, wealth. First thing we have to get rid of regarding wealth is no self definition coming from your wealth level. Your level of assets, how much wealth you have, how much money you have, how much bank balance you have, asset base, the shares and other things, your wealth value in the society, your valuation, your net worth, those things should not matter for you at the level of identity. That is first. And do not develop insecurity when your wealth fluctuates. Of course, you need to ensure a certain amount of wealth. Make sure that you have enough to eat and all that. So beyond your basic necessities to a certain extent, even that you can ensure only to some point. That is why Shraddha is required, surrender to Ishvara is required. Because in Bhagavad Gita, there is a sloka, he says, Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yogakshemam Mahamyaham. That is the Shraddha, the trust. For those who are completely committed to self-knowledge and who are committed to the life of renunciation and totally committed to the self-knowledge, pursuit of self-knowledge, what they need to acquire and preserve, their basic needs, I will take care. Vaham yaham. Bhagavan says, I will take care of that. So I have to have absolute faith that Bhagavan will take care of me when I require taking care. So I open my arms and surrender. Of course, I use my common sense and do what I can, but I don't get over worked up about my wealth. The thought of my wealth related issues should not bother my contemplative life. To that extent, I have to ensure that, and I am not hankering after more and more wealth. I have to appear, I have to get more profit, more profit. The rate of growth of my net worth is not growing, all that. So beyond what is common sense level necessary to ensure that I have the decent conditions that allow me to concentrate on my contemplative lifestyle with whatever is the necessities, I should not bother too much about accumulating and preserving wealth beyond a certain point. To the point it occupies my thoughts, to the point that it occupies too much of my schedule, and to the point that it is not allowing me to concentrate on my Vedantic contemplation. To that extent, I have to be free from wealth related, assets related encumbrances, children and pet related encumbrances, and ego related encumbrances where I want to be seen by the world. I have to get rid of all these three things: lokeshana, putreshana, petteshana, and vitteshana. I will tell a small story and I will complete today's class. There was a king called Bhadragiriyar. He wanted to attain self knowledge. So he renounced his kingdom, gave all the in charge to ministers and his brother or whatever, whoever was the next in charge in line for power. And then he renounced and came behind this great master called Patinathar. So they were in a temple, both of the guru and the shishya, the disciple, they were like sitting like beggars in two. They were living near a temple, and whenever they are hungry, they beg for food, they eat, and they are doing their sadhana practice, contemplation, whatever. So one beggar or somebody came to this Patinathar was the guru who was a great businessman, very successful, like our Ambani type level businessman of his times, one of the richest people in the district or in the state, the kingdom those times. He renounced everything and became this. So everybody knows that this is Patinathar who has become, and also he was a great master, so he was revered for his power. The king once came once and asked him, "Why have you renounced everything and you have come here and living like a beggar?" This master was sitting on a on a platform. The king was standing there humbly and asking him this. Then the master said, "You are standing, I am sitting. That is why." What do you get out of that? He said, "You are standing, I am sitting. This is what I get." Means you are the king of the entire kingdom. You are standing and bending down in front of tapasya, while being a beggar, I am just sitting confidently in a platform in front of the king. So this comes from tapasya. So he says, this is higher than all the worldly achievements, even being a king. That is why in North India, when monks come, we call them as Maharaj. Maharaj means the great king. That's how we address the monks, Maharaj, Maharaj. So because they are the king for the whole world, they have renounced everything, so they have owned everything. Something like this. Yeah. So this king who renounced and became his disciple was in other end of the temple. One beggar came to this master Patinathar because he heard that he was a very rich person once upon a time. No, I don't know what crazy idea he had. He came and asked him, I can you, I am having, I'm very poor and all that. Can you help me with some wealth? I have a daughter to get married. Something he came and asked. He said, "Hey, what I will help? I am only wearing one loin cloth around my waist and nothing else. I am a renunciant. What can I give you?" You go to the other end of the temple, there is a great samsari, there is a great householder there in the other side or end of the temple. He will help you. Go and tell him that I sent you to him. Then he goes to the other end and goes to this Bhadragiriyar, who was a king who renounced the entire kingdom to become his disciple, and he's sitting there as a beggar. But he had two things. There was a dog next to him, and he had a begging bowl. So he was preserving these two things. He was very attached to this begging bowl, which is a specially designed whatever from a certain special kind of a wood or whatever. And then this dog, whatever he gets, he will share with the dog, and the dog was always around him. When he heard that, from this man, that his guru has sent this man to ask him for help, calling him as a householder. There is a great householder. So he suddenly realized the mistake he did. He broke the, you know, he broke that begging bowl and then drove away the dog and ran and fell at the feet of the master and said, "Thank you for enlightening me." And then after that, they say his real progress started. So, samsara or all these bondages in the mind. Hmm? You may have very simple possessions, but if you are very obsessed about even one of that, then the inner renunciation has not happened. You may be a king of an entire kingdom like King Janaka, but when your guru asks you to sit in contemplation, he is sitting there in contemplation for 3 days and nights. Palace catches fire, he is not worried, right? So, being a king, he is able to just drop everything from his mind in a matter of 1 second. He is able to drop everything from the mind and keep the mind completely available for knowledge and for contemplation. So, that is real renunciation, right? But practically looking, he was a king. A great rishi sends his son to go and learn from this king about self knowledge. This little kid comes there and sees, "Ah, what is this king? Some three women are massaging him, and he's full of creature comforts. And what am I going to learn from him?" And then he goes back. And then his teacher says, "No, no, no, you go. He is the one who is the right person to teach you." And then he goes, "I am here only because of this." And he asks him, "Why? How come you are a great teacher of self knowledge when you are surrounded by so many luxuries?" And then the king Janaka teaches him. Yeah. So we have like this numerous examples. We have a great example of a huge, very famous yogi with all psychic powers falling at the feet of a woman, householder woman, uh, where he recognizes her superiority in renunciation and austerity. Then asks her to teach him. She says, "I will send you to my teacher," and sends him to the house of a butcher. There is a butcher living at in the end of the village. He says, "He is the greater master than me. Go and learn from him." And the butcher teaches him. So we have in our tradition a lot of exceptional examples that are always given to drive the main point and the spirit of the teaching. So the spirit of the renunciation is getting rid of uh, personal visibility and name and fame and all the recognition in the world, getting rid of attachment to children and pets, and getting rid of anxiety about wealth, right? So this is the whole spirit of renunciation. And the formal ritualistic monkhood is not relevant for most people. It is relevant for a small bubble of the population, and let them go through that process. Others need not worry about it, and it is not necessary. The inner renunciation is what is being emphasized here. One might adopt a sattvic lifestyle with respect to clothes and all that, but let us not go and poke our nose and degrade the institution of official sannyasa when we are not officially eligible for that, or necessary, when that official sannyasa is not necessary, ritualistically necessary for us, or if you are not eligible for that cultural aspect of the institution. Okay, so let us understand the spirit of the teaching and go with that. So I hope I have thrown enough light on these 2 points. Having arrived at proper inner renunciation and a decent renunciant lifestyle, what one should do, one should go and surrender to one's guru and be ready to serve the guru and learn the teaching, which is the next line. Sadvidwan upasrupyatam pratidinam tatpaduka sevyatam brahmaikaksharamardhyatam sutichiro vakyam samakarnyatam. So we will discuss this aspect more in detail in the coming session. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vatishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Thank you.